Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is, are we making prophesied enemies? In other words, the enemies that the prophecies say that will attack and destroy, how are we doing? Are they friends or are they enemies? Or are we making some really big mistakes out there? All right, first of all, I have to go through this. This particular prophecy, in my opinion, is the most important prophecy outside the Bible. This one is going to save thousands on thousands of people all across America and perhaps around the world. So let me go through it. So this was August 3rd, 1984. I talked about this part yesterday, but I'm coming at it at a different angle today. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government, meaning that's the start of the internal revolution, and that's what I talked about yesterday. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries will attack and defeat America in 1 hour. That's what I want to talk about today. Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries. Are they our friends, or have we done some things of late to begin to make them enemies? Now, this is my version of how I see this right now. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America by overthrowing the Trump administration started by the communists. Some of the evil people, Democrats, illegal aliens, drug pushers, insane criminals that Biden let in our border, will start fighting against the government. We've already seen that. The government would be busy with internal problems. Then here's what we're talking about today. From the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries will attack and defeat America in 1 hour. Okay. Now, I haven't talked about these books in, I don't know, a couple of years, but I think it's very important that you have them. So if you will, let me take a few moments and briefly explain each book, because we got probably the best offer going right now we've ever had at Prophecy Club. You get 40 books for a gift of $100. So the first one, this is the Big Daddy. 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and one of the visions showed me a secret door that basically says the feasts of Leviticus 23 are the pattern to lay the prophecies of Revelation down onto, so that the prophecies of Revelation can be put in the correct chronological order for the first time. As far as I know, I'm the only one that's got this. And one is 20, but don't do that. You can get shrink wrap sets of 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. Next one is, this is Dumitru's testimony, all of his dreams and visions, as well as Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruver, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett. Okay, this is, I would say it's in the top 5 prophecy books outside the Bible. Then I also wrote this book, which is the most popular, called Miss the Mark, and this one is the one that has the mark of the beast. This is the yellow one on the left, and then the number of the beast. It has both of these in the book, and this book I think was written in 2018, I think, thereabouts. Anyway, very, very popular book. And then How Pre-Trib Won. See, this book does not have the rapture in it. I don't talk about the rapture. This is simply helping to understand the prophecies of the last 7 months and 7 years. Does not talk about the rapture. This one, however, only talks about the rapture. And I go through and I take what people say. Okay, this is why you can believe in a pre-trib. And I answer those questions. 25 pre-trib questions in this book. And I don't think a pre-tribber will get too far in this book at all before they say, oh my goodness, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. These other guys that saying there's a pre-trib rapture have just misunderstood. And they misunderstand because they don't have the secret door. If you can't put the prophecy of Revelation in the correct chronological order, then this is what you see. If you don't understand the feasts, you see a pre-trib rapture. Okay, next thing. Now, this is not all of Daniel. I just took the parts of Daniel that we folks about to go into the tribulation, or maybe living in the tribulation now, need to know. Here's the deal, though. We're making all 5 of those available. Shrink wrap sets. Pre-trib 1 comes in shrink wrap set of 10. Daniel's 10. God's warnings is 5. Miss the Mark is 10. I understand Bible prophecy, secret door is 10. So that's a total of 40 books for a gift of $100. Why do we put them in shrink wrap? Because you're going to want your copy, but you're also going to want more copies to give away, especially when these things in the book start coming to pass. These are going to be hot books. Okay, go to prophecyclub.com and you can get a set of 40 of them for a gift of $100. And yeah, we can use your help. Again, we're barely scraping by. Ever since about a month before the election, our donations have just fallen off. Trump's going to fix everything. We don't need Prophecy Club anymore. Also, Watchman's Package. Now this, if you want to teach Bible prophecy, maybe at your school, maybe at your church, maybe in your neighborhood, you need this package. So here's what you get. In the top right corner, you get both the 7-year and the 7-month charts. I'll say it that way. But they're like 3 foot by 4 foot, okay? Big, 2 by 3 foot. And you also get 5 copies of Secret Door. You also get me teaching all the way through the book of Revelation, well, I should say from chapter 4 on, and also my book, where when I wrote out the book of Revelation, and I write all of my notes in here, all the things that I see, all in this book. You get a copy of this book right here. So, I really did. I memorized the book of Revelation. It has all of my notes, what I think in there. And so you also get DVD discs of me teaching through the book of Revelation. If you want to win souls, you have to understand the most important soul-winning tool in history is the blood of Jesus, and that's never going to change. But the second thing is, why did he give us Daniel and Revelation? Why did he give us all of these prophecies? Because in the end days, they will speak and they will not lie, and there's going to come a time. Matter of fact, the Lord told me that the time would come when Bible prophecy is the number one topic on the planet, on the globe. That's the thing everybody is going to want to know about. All people, nations, and languages, all of them want to know about Bible prophecy. You want to be one of those people with the answers. You want to get a Watchman's Package, $355 value for a gift of $200. You get all of that. All right, now let's go on back to what we're going to say. So today we're looking at specifically the government will be busy with internal problems, then Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America. Now, I need to read on to this to finish the prophecy. I bless this country because of the Jews that are here. I have 7 million Jews here. They haven't tasted war, persecution. God has blessed them more than anyone else. And instead of thanking God, they started sinning and doing wickedly. Their sins have reached the Holy One, and God will punish them with fire. Israel doesn't recognize the Messiah because they place their trust on the power of the Jews in America. But when God will hit America, all the nations will be terrified. God will raise up China, Japan, and many of the nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians. They'll back the Russians to the gates of Paris where they sign a peace treaty, but they make the Russians their leader. With the Russians as the leader, that ought to tell you where you could look for the Antichrist to come from. All the world goes down to attack little Israel. It's not that they want to, but God made so that's the hook in the jaw, which I believe is oil. Now, let's get to the 2 countries. It says there's 2 other countries you couldn't remember. Now, this is a guess. I do not have it thus saith the Lord on this, but this is probably a good guess. Probably one of those 2 countries is North Korea. Why? How do we know that? Well, because they're Russia's buddy, and they're also sharing technology and weapons. We've seen that in other articles where North Korea has the hypersonic missiles that only Russia has made. Second thing is Iraq, Iran. Now, why do you list them both? I'm going to give you a reason. One is Iraq is the nation that America took over, and we made a lot of enemies for those years that we were in Iraq, a lot of enemies. Second thing is Russia currently protecting and sharing technology and weapons also with Iran. And then if you go to Jeremiah 51:11, it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord had raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes against America. For his device is against Babylon, America, to destroy it because of the vengeance of the Lord. Now that word vengeance is only, pretty much only, talking about the day of the Lord at the very end of the 7-year tribulation. So this is, in my opinion, proof that Iraq, Iran is going to be one of them, and North Korea is just a good guess. All right, now let's go on. There's more. So this is one of the charts that is in the back of the book, Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. And this is showing you the last 7 months. The bottom is the feasts. The top is the prophecies of Revelation. And they link together, okay? So that you can, if I can do this, put them in correct chronological order. That's what you're looking at. If you want to understand the last days, you got to get this book. All right, next thing. This is the last 7 years. This is the last 7 months. This is the last 7 years. And it's all laid out for you in chronological order for the first time so that you can understand it. Why? Because there's about to be a lot of people that want to know about Bible prophecy. If you want to be a soul winner, if you want to be one that's giving them answers, then you need to get these books. I mean, it's worth $100, okay? It helps our ministry, but it'll be one of the best $100 donations you've given. All right, now, let's jump to why Russia. Remember, it said Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 hour. On your right is Stanislav Lunev. I looked this up, and I believe it was November of 19. I didn't just look it up today. I looked it up here a while back. But I believe it was November of 1997, I think, is when he came to speak at Prophecy Club. And I typed in his name, and this old video cover, we used to offer them in VCRs, popped up. This is actually a picture of one of our videotapes. You see in the corner there, I'm the one that authorized that the Prophecy Club with a little R there be put on the physical plastic VCR cover. And I'm the one that determined the name of it as he came to speak. A Russian warns America. Later it got changed to Russian defectors invasion warning. But he told me when we went to lunch, when he was speaking at Prophecy Club, Stalin, you have to understand, Russia was formed to destroy America. In other words, as every child is raised, everybody in America, everybody in Russia knows that the objective of Russia is to destroy America. That's why the nation exists, so he said. I looked it up, and this is what the original cover used to look like. You can buy this on the internet on eBay right now for $199, or you can get your last DVD copy of it for $10. So you can buy original for $199, or you can get a fresh DVD from us for $10 each. As a matter of fact, all of them are available through the end of this month. The end of this month, we're not going to offer any more DVDs. $10 each, shipping paper sleeves. You go to prophecyclubresources.com, prophecyclubresources.com, or you can watch it free by going to watchprophecyclub.com, and you can watch over 300 DVDs, $20 a month or $200 a year. That is amazing. It took us 25 years to make all those DVDs. And you can watch the first 3 days for free. You get 3 days of watching all of these for free. So you can go watch this right now, watchprophecyclub.com for free. Or you can buy it for $199, or you can get a DVD for $10. Now, back to what I was saying today. So we're talking about Russia. Why do we think Russia is going to be one of the nations that will attack us outside the fact that Gabriel said to Dumitru in a face-to-face visit, August 3rd of 1984? So Albert Pike received a vision. Who's Albert Pike? He was a starter of the Freemasons. He wrote the book, Ordo Ab Chao. That's not right. On the front of it says Ordo Ab Chao. Wrote the book, oh my goodness, too many years. What's the name of it? Well, drew a blank. What's the name of it? He started the Illuminati. Anyway, Albert Pike received a vision, and he described it in a letter he wrote to Mazzini, dated August 15th of 1871. This letter graphically outlines plans for 3 world wars that were seen as necessary to bring about the one world order to put their man, the Antichrist, on the throne. First one says the First World War is going to be between the czars in Russia This was part of the overthrow of Russia, Tsars of Russia, and it would be making the country a fortress of atheistic communism with the objective, eventually, of destroying America. That divergence is caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and the Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism would be built, in other words, to balance or to destroy America, and used in order to destroy other governments and in order to weaken the regions or religions. Did this happen? Yes, it did happen. Then the Second World War will be fomented, taking advantage of the differences between the fascists, as in the Germans, and the political Zionists, as in Israel. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and the political Zionism be made strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. So the whole point of World War II, from their point of view, was to form Israel. During the Second War, international communism must be made strong enough in order to balance Christendom. As I told you, Russia was started to destroy America, which would then be restrained and held in check until the time when it would need it for the final social cataclysm or the day of the Lord. That is the day when they destroy everybody that doesn't take the mark of the beast. After the Second War, communism was made strong and overcame weaker governments in 1945, and you read the rest of it. Did this happen? Yes, it did. On to the third one. This is the one that's, well, I believe, started February 22 of 22, when Russia invaded Ukraine. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantages of the difference caused by the agents of the Illuminati, in other words, the Molochs, between the political Zionists, in other words, this is between Molochs and Israel. This is basically the Antichrist in Israel, and the leaders of the Islamic world. And that's what You Be Ready just said in The Show Has Begun. Remember, I read that several times. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic leopard world, and the political Zionism, or the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Well, it doesn't happen like that. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, would be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. That hasn't happened yet, but it's on the way. We shall unleash the nihilist. Now, what's a nihilist? A nihilist is someone that does not believe there is a God at all. In other words, there is no God. An atheist believes kind of the same way, a little bit different anyway. We shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, and all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. In other words, they want World War III to fight to the point to where the whole world is exhausted and pretty much dead. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity. Now, why would anybody be disillusioned with Christianity? I mean, after all, it is the truth, right? Well, the reason they're going to be disillusioned with Christianity, in my opinion, is because they were taught there was going to be a pre-trib rapture. We're not going to see any of this trouble. We're going to be out of here before then. And that's a misunderstanding of Scripture. So, when they're not out of there, they get mad at Jesus. They walk away from Jesus, they curse the Bible, they burn the churches, beat the pastors, maybe kill the pastors and their wives. Disillusioned with Christianity, those deistic spirits will from that moment weep without compass or direction. In other words, we burned our church, we killed our pastor, we threw away this Jesus, we burned the Bibles. I'm telling you, it's coming. Anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, and everybody starts taking the mark. My opinion, the mark is introduced about mid-trib, but it's not forced until America is taken out, which is about 4 months before Armageddon. That's when we go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. General reactionary movement which follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Now, wait a minute. Why would the devil want to do away with atheism? Because he doesn't want people not believing there's a God. He wants everybody worshiping him. Not Jesus, not Allah, not Hindu gods, nobody. Everybody has to worship him. That's going to happen too. Now, to Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico. So if you look at these, so we're looking at Mexico on the left. In the center is Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and then off to the right is Venezuela. And Venezuela is the question, probably, if you look at all of the bad things that Venezuela has done to America, probably so. And then Cuba, I put that in a square because that is also confirmed and mentioned by the angel. Okay, so here's my point. If you look in the middle circle, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, all of the Panama. I've been down to Honduras now twice. I've spent probably 3 weeks in Honduras, ministering to Honduras with a lot of pastors. Been on radio and TV down there, and I'll tell you one time I was on TV, which is the big TV station, and it's also radio, for Honduras. And I had my interpreter, which was interpreting my English into Spanish. And I mentioned something about the Pope, and he didn't say it. And I mentioned something about Trump, and he didn't say that either. So after we got out, I said, what happened? He said, you can't talk bad about the Pope down here. This is Pope country. And he says, and you sure can't talk good about Trump. They hate Trump. I said, why they hate Trump for? He said, because they look at what Trump is doing by closing the American border as an attack on them. They hate Trump down here. That's a big point. And he said, it's not just Honduras. This is all of Central America. They don't like the way Trump is closing the border. They don't like the way Trump is treating the migrants. They think that the migrants ought to be able to go wherever they want to go, and they expect their big brothers, the white Americans above them, north of them, to take care of them. And they are angry right now because that's all being cut off. So I'm just telling you, that's one of the ways we're making enemies. Also, now let's talk about Mexico. I think we're making enemies of Mexico with the tariffs and also the whole border situation. It's been in the news, and they don't like the fact that Trump is closing the border. I like it, probably you like it, but they don't like it. They think that we should let anybody in that wants to have a better life. That's the way they look at America. Now let's talk about Panama. Okay, so we got this Panama Canal deal. Headline, facing threat of U.S. invasion, a deal is Panama's best defense. U.S. invasion? Are we really talking about military down there? Well, actually, Trump did say nothing's off the table. Someone said, does that mean it could be military? And he said, yes, it could be military. This article goes on to say, but the real challenge, once the U.S. invades, what? They're talking about U.S. is going to invade Panama. Now, let me just tell you, I do not know what is going to happen. God has not told me. But if we invade Panama, and by force, if we take back the Panama Canal, you can imagine all of those South American countries are going to be fiery mad at America. Let's go on to the article. But the real challenge once the U.S. invades will be in occupying a resistive country of 4.4 million. While the administration figures out what it wants to do with this new acquisition, a deal is Panama's best defense. So the article is saying it's in Panama's best interest to make a deal with Trump. I agree, but Panama, goes on to say, has held its ground and made no real concessions. They're saying it's getting ugly. Rather than patiently explaining the real costs of a contested U.S. takeover, Panama's elites are choosing to dissemble and delay. In other words, Panama is basically saying, we're not going to give you the canal back. And Trump now has his face hung out saying, excuse me, saying, oh, yes, you will. We'll use military if we have to. Now, Panama, the article says, Panama doesn't even have a military. Okay, so would that be easy for America to go down and physically take Panama back by force? Yeah. I mean, probably take them an hour or two. Not a problem. But in doing so, it could also make all of Central America, Venezuela, all of Mexico, it could make a bunch of enemies. And as much as we love Trump and what he's doing, we also have to look at one thing. He's also making a lot of enemies. A lot of people don't like what he's doing. I hesitate to say this next part. I've got a few minutes left, and I'm going to tell you I can't read a lot of what is in this. You're going to have to pause and you're going to have to read it because I'm afraid if I read it, I'll get in trouble. Okay. Reportedly, and I cannot verify that this is truth, okay, so it might not be accurate. Reportedly, these are documents that have been discovered on some of the people that are blowing up things, burning buildings down, and protesting. Now, I suggest you pause and you take a few minutes and you read this. I caught my mouth falling open several times as I read this, and I dare not read it. Now, this is part of it. I'm going to go on down to the next page, let you look at it here. Take a moment, pause, and read this. This apparently is giving instructions to people. Apparently, they are paid to go out and to cause disruption. Specifically, look at this area. So it goes on to tell them these are the do's, these are the don'ts, and you can be kind up to this point, but if it gets too rough, then we'll give you the sign and we can take it up another notch. So, what's going on? If you look over here to the right, it even has some prices, some dollar amounts mentioned in there. So I don't know if that's the money paid to a small group of people, or maybe is that the amount of funds paid to one person or a small group of people. I don't know. But this appears, now again, I can't even guarantee it's genuine. I doubt it's a spoof, but these days you never know. I'm only saying America is in deep trouble. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Take a look. Read through this. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. These are the internal problems. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. There it is. There it is. Now, if you can help us with a donation, that would be very good. I also encourage you to order the 40-book offer. That will help us too. We got to make it through this. You and I together. Okay, we can do this thing.